Do's and don'ts on a construction site. In this video, we're gonna have a little bit of fun, talk to you about some of the things that you should do and some of the things that you don't do on a construction site. So if you're about to visit a construction site, if you're new, if you're just entering, then I can save you a little bit of heartache. Let me tell you a funny story before I begin. And this is not negative, by the way. I'm not bullying, I'm not hazing, I'm not criticizing. This actually gave us quite a bit of a laugh. I remember there was a person at Hensel Phelps that was hired about the same time I was, and he showed up for the first day in the field as a field engineer on the construction site with like a full piece suit, like dress shoes, like he was going to a wedding, tie the whole nine, and like literally was surprised and probably in a fun way teased a little bit because he didn't know some of the do's or don'ts to coming onto a construction site. Ended up being wildly successful, but they ended up calling him Slicks after that because he showed up to the job site there. So it could be helpful. And really intimidating. Oh my gosh, let me do this. So the folks at LeanTact, every week in our company, we do a company meeting, like a connection meeting, where we talk about a number of different things. But one of the topics is ask the founders questions. You don't have to go home and kick your dog or complain to your spouse. You can if you want to, but you can get your questions answered right here. And one of the questions was, what is it like to be on a large commercial or industrial construction project? And I was like, oh my gosh, that's such a good question. I remember the backup alarms for a concrete truck and the smell of a diesel and the light plants and the light just towering over you and a couple of folks over in the corner smoking, getting ready for a concrete placement, somebody spraying down the dirt before the concrete trucks show up, the finishers getting all their tools out, this flurry of activity. It's literally chilly, like freezing in the morning because it's like 3:30 in the morning, or it might be midnight at night because you're getting ready for a placement. And the adrenaline and the excitement and the smell of cement inside the concrete. Don't get after me on that one. But the smell of cement, like it's just overwhelming. Like if we were building the Death Star in outer space, that wouldn't seem any bigger to me than what it's like to build on a commercial construction project. And my advice always is, you'll know right then whether you love it or hate it. And for me, I loved it. I felt so at home, and I just get addicted to construction and being on construction sites. So it's overwhelming. So if you want to know some of the do's and the don'ts when you're entering that environment and you want to actually have a good experience, the addictive experience, then pay attention right now because we're going to take you through it. Number one, always wear your personal protective equipment. That means your hard hat, your safety glasses, your vest, and have your clothing and the right kind of boots, okay? And for a lot of general contractors, they have a glove policy. You'll have to have your gloves on 100% of the time. Now, my advice, when you're on a commercial or industrial construction project, I don't care if somebody says you don't need the safety glasses, hard hat, safety glasses, vest, boots, gloves, okay? Come on the project site 100% and never, ever, ever allow yourself to go out on site without it. It will frame a mindset that will keep you safe and bless you and set the tone for any of your future leadership opportunities. Number two, always follow the job site, the company, the local, the state, and federal regulations when it comes to safety, which means that you need to know them, which means that you need to be a part of the orientation. So every time you come onto a construction project, whether they say it's okay or not, go through the orientation before you step foot on site, know the requirements, and follow the requirements. If somebody's saying, no, this isn't a big deal, we'll tour you through, unless you're the owner of the building or a special guest, that's probably not reliable. Just follow the rules. Never enter a construction site unless you're following all safety regulations. Number three, and this is absolutely amazing, whether you're a visitor, whether you're a new employee, or whether you're managing work, always hold your safety briefings, your safety huddles, or your safety meetings. Now, you might be like, Jay Money, that doesn't apply to me. Yes, it does. Before every single training, every boot camp, and I learned this from Petticoat Schmidt, by the way, and their amazing safety group over there. So every time I go somewhere, I'm like, okay, where's the nearest fire extinguisher? Where's the first aid? Where's the AED? who's going to call 911, who's going to be on point for first aid, CPR, who's going to guide in the ambulance, what are the safety considerations in my environment that we need to consider, and make sure that everybody's on the same page before we go. That is a habit everywhere. I don't care if you're visiting or you work on that construction project. Don't fail to look for safety first and always, and to make it a briefing or a huddle so that everyone's on the same page. Number 4, when on a construction site, one of the do's, always have clear communication. Always ask clearly where you're allowed to go. Always communicate visually or verbally with equipment operators, with crews, with people doing work, with each other. Communication is key on a construction site because it takes everybody to keep everyone else safe and to maintain that flow. Number 5, on a construction site, and this is probably the best advice you will ever get, keep a site organized. That is the number one thing. A lot of times people on a construction site think that you can just like blow and go and just throw your materials down, behind you, like somebody else can pick it up. No, 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 no. Materials come in, they are organized and separated by zone. They're maintained up off the ground, on dunnage, tarped, protected, right? When they go from here to the building, they're well organized in a pre-coordinated location. When they're used, they're installed. Trash goes immediately out into the right bin, especially if you're doing recycling or if you're doing recycling for scrap metal. Every tool has a place and everything needs to go in its place. Your crew must be organized to where people know where to get things and they're never on treasure hunts. One of the do's of a construction site is always be organized. Number 6, this is a big one. This is a big one right here. Always report incidents immediately. And I'm going to include all of it right here. Discrimination, harassment of any kind, sexual harassment, abuse and misogynistic behaviors towards women, safety accidents, near misses, they all have to be reported. There is nothing on a construction site, including upcoming weather or lightning being within a certain distance. Nothing on a construction site is so small that it doesn't need to be reported. If something is out of the normal, out of the ordinary, it gets reported on a construction site. It doesn't look right, doesn't smell right, doesn't feel right, doesn't seem to be right, anything, doesn't taste right, then you say something, because everything on a construction site is trying to kill you. Everything. You go out there, everything, the equipment, the leading edges, the building, the objects falling, the soil, everything is attempting to kill you. So you've got to stay safe. You've got to make sure that anything that's out of the ordinary is reported so it can be made right. That is the only way to keep safe and to keep professional on a construction project. The last one I'm going to say that kind of goes along with the last one with reporting is always know emergency response procedures, meaning if something's going wrong on a project site, if there's an accident, if there's a fire, if there's a storm, if there's an injury, if there's a death, if there's a gas leak, if there's a utility strike, know what the emergency response procedures are on that project site. And if you follow these rules, you'll be pretty well okay. Now let me talk to you about liking and subscribing to this. What, did I lose my place again? That's not what I was talking about. Let me talk to you about the don'ts. But I know what I got wrong. Liking and subscribing is a part of the do category. Please do that so you get all the awesome content from this YouTube channel. And you know we like each other a lot. So let's just like and subscribe. Comment below. Here are the don'ts on a construction site. Let's roll. Number 1, do not skip PPE. Do not ever be on site without it. It sets a bad example and it's going to get you injured. And it's not a good way to start your career. How you do one thing is how you do everything. Number 2, do not ignore safety protocols. I remember somebody saying, hey, I was at the end of a project and we couldn't reach this punch list item up on the ceiling. So we got a scissor lift and then put an A-frame ladder. And then on top of the A-frame ladder, that person had somebody on the top. Don't ever do that. Nothing is so important or urgent that you have to do something the unsafe way, right? So never, ever, ever, under any circumstances, ignore safety protocols. That's how people die. Number 3, do not use damaged tools. If it's missing a guard, if it doesn't have the proper insulation on the cord, if it's not in good working use, if it doesn't have the alarms or the safety precautions on it or the safety equipment, do not use it. Never, ever, ever, ever use something that is not fit for duty or fit for work. Number 4, do not crowd work areas. If you have people working above you, if it is unsafe, if everybody is too cramped in an area and you don't have space, then it is not safe enough for you. Number 5, never neglect training. Just like I said, don't use equipment that's not ready or that's unsafe. Don't use yourself if you are not safely ready to perform a task. You cannot go do work that you're not trained for. Only do things for which you are trained. So forklift, you must be trained. A-frame ladder, you must be trained. Boom lift, you must be trained. Everything in construction you need training for. Don't do things that you're not trained to do. Never engage in horseplay. We are never catcalling women. We are never saying inappropriate sexual jokes. We are never pulling in politics or racism. We are never physically messing around. We are never bullying. We are never hazing. None of this belongs in construction at any time or any place. You will be safe if you stay away from it, and if you get into that, you will get into a bad habit, you will hurt people, and you will lose your job. And lastly, never underestimate risks. Again, the construction environment is trying to kill you. As soon as you come on site, everything's trying to kill you. Do not underestimate the risks. Always be alert and attentive once you cross that gate. Full PPE, full awareness of safety requirements, full training, ready to go, looking and acting like a soldier in construction. And you must have that if you want to survive that hostile and dangerous environment. I'm going to leave you with a Canva graphic explaining these do's and don'ts. I hope it's helpful to you as you go into a construction project feeling ready and ready to go. On we go.